Oh, there we go. Bam. Check audio. Good to go. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Mining Show, your one-stop shop for all things cryptocurrency news from the perspective of a cryptocurrency miner. Today, we have some fun topics. We finally have another release from Team Black Miner, which we were going to nickname Team Black Miner Nightly until, well, you know, they quit releasing for a few days, which was wild. We also have Nvidia being hacked and threatening a full light hash rate unlock. Now, maybe this one is real because, you know, they've probably been selling it to big farms. Who knows what they've been doing? And hopefully we'll see that get onto the market. Maybe, maybe not. Of course, the hacks aren't good. We'll get into it. We'll cover it all. We're also going to be talking about China's Supreme Court declaring fundraising with crypto illegal. And on the flip side, the Bank of America saying that there's not going to be a crypto winter. It's a war between centralization and decentralization. So keep that in mind when we talk about banks. Then we'll be getting into the mining markets for the day. But of course, before we get into it, we're going to give a shout out to our partner, Supps. I'm actually sipping some right here. Lemonade today. Let's get into the ad and then we'll get into the show. Today's video is brought to you in partnership with Supps. Supps provides a healthy alternative to sugary energy drinks with delicious flavors like Misfits Melon or my favorite Blue Raz. I use the Supps as an alternative to support my active lifestyle outside of content creation. Caffeine-free options are great for late-night gaming after the kids have gone to bed. And my favorite part about Supps is that they accept cryptocurrency. And for a limited time, when you purchase a tub with cryptocurrency, you will receive a Bitcoin shaker. Follow the affiliate link in the description. And don't forget to use code SOAT at checkout. All right, welcome back. Be sure to use the promo code SOAT when ordering. If you order a full tub, then they do still have some options for additional cool shakers. I'm not sure if the Bitcoin shaker is around anymore. Have to check with them. For the markets today, everything's looking good. We are up above 40,000 on Bitcoin and at 2809 for Ethereum. So that's pretty nice. I was busy this weekend. So we did the mining hosting facility tour, and that was about a 4 to 5 hour drive one way. So we spent like 10 hours in the car, a ton of time filming the interview, editing. And for the channel, what we ended up getting out of it, it's not like we have a partnership with them or anything at this point, but they did lend me out some fantastic, what do you call it? A2000s and A4000s. Well, one of each. And that's what you guys saw here earlier. I'm going to fix a couple things real quick that I see that are an issue, and then we will get into the show. Alrighty, so apologies for that. A few little technical difficulties. The camera's not exactly set up where I like it, and then I had to add a couple things in. Usually when I do like a long trip like this, I'm out and about and I take the camera down and all that, so the setup's not quite where I want it to be, so I just wanted to get that going. Another note is that also had to record all the B-roll. We have pretty much all the testing done for the A2000s and the A4000s. We will be getting the review videos out for that, as well as the Koi Miner this week. Pretty much all the B-roll's done, all the testing's done. I just have to record the A-roll, edit, and get it out. So if you're interested in that, hit the, of course, subscribe and notification bell so you're notified when it pops up on the channel. First things first, for today, we're going to be talking about Team Black Miner version 1.57. And so all they really did was fix rejects on Binance.com and GPUmine.org. So it may not be nightly anymore, but it's still very short, very brief fixes, one at a time kind of thing from Team Black Miner. So it's like version 1.56. We had 2 changes: fixed GPU timeouts and fixed rejects on Crazy Pool, and then 1.57 fixed rejects on Binance and GPUmine.org. Kind of funny stuff. Let's get into the first topic for today. Nvidia has reportedly been completely compromised by a cyber attack, and now they are threatening to release mining limiter killer. All right. So obviously we want to approach all of this with caution. People that are, going to release, basically software from a hack are more than likely, untrustworthy, meaning like if you see this leak, we're going to want to run all the virus scans on it, make sure everything's good to go, because that is going to be dangerous. But this is coming from Video Games Chronicles, and we'll start out here. And this was on February 26, 2022. Nvidia has reportedly been completely compromised by a cyber attack. So graphics firm Nvidia has been completely compromised by a potential cyber attack, it's being claimed. That's according to a new report published by The Telegraph, which claims that America's biggest microchip company has seen parts of his business taken offline for 2 days. According to the report, what's believed to be a malicious network intrusion has completely compromised Nvidia's internal systems, including email and developer tools, which have been suffering from outages since the middle of the week. It's unclear if any data has been stolen or deleted from Nvidia or from its customers, the report states, or if the attack has merely disrupted its systems. An Nvidia spokesperson told the publication, "We are investigating an incident. We don't have any additional information to share at this time." Alan Woodward, a cybersecurity expert at the University of Surrey, told The Telegraph that Nvidia likely decided to shut down its internal systems to minimize the risk of further damage. Quote, "The ultimate concern is that somebody may have put something in one of the software updates," end quote, Dr. Woodward said. Quote, "They'll be going through trying to make sure to see if there's any indication that anything has been changed in the software that they then shipped to their clients," end quote. If the report is accurate, the attack will represent at least the second major security breach at Nvidia in the past 6 months. Last summer, a list of hundreds of unannounced games was data mined from its GeForce Now platform, some of which have since been announced. There is currently no evidence linking Nvidia's outages to the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. The U.S. government has told companies to prepare for potential cyber attacks on Western companies in the wake of Russia's invasion. Alejandro Mayorkas, the U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security, said this week, "We have no information to suggest a specific credible cyber attack threat against the U.S. homeland, but it is our responsibility to be prepared." And it continues from here. So obviously cyber attacks on Nvidia can mean a lot of crazy things could happen, some of which, the clientele needs to be careful of. Injecting drivers that you download off of Nvidia.com with additional malware that could spread across the, entire population of Nvidia GPUs in existence. And I actually downloaded one, so who knows at this point. There's a lot of potential here for scary, scary things. GeForce Now packaging could get packaged with some sort of additional malware, RAT tools, remote access tools, etc. And it gets more interesting because now from Tom's Hardware, Nvidia hackers, this is an hour ago, threatened to release mining limiter killer. But they also requested Nvidia remove the mining performance limiter itself. So are these hackers or attackers part of cryptocurrency? Who knows? South American-based hacking group Lapsus $ is threatening to disclose software and firmware data for Nvidia's light hash rate mining performance limiter. The new information gleaned from alleged screenshots from the group's Telegram activity comes hot on the heels of last week's Nvidia hack, the details of which the company is keeping close to its chest. But the group appeared to be confident in the quality of the stolen data, as they've already put up an announcement for the sale of data that would enable the bypass of Nvidia's light hash rate as implemented on the company's GA102 and GA104 chips. Should Lapsus threat come to pass, that would mean that every Nvidia 3000 series card ranging from the 3060 through the 3090, which has never been light hash rate locked, by the way, could be again turned into a 100% mining performance powerhouse. So they need to correct this article from the 3060 to the RTX 3080 Ti would be the range of light hash rate GPUs. The 3050 also would be added into here. And of course, seeing what the full potential of the 3050 would be pretty impressive. You know, we already have an idea of what most of these GPUs should be getting. You can calculate out, you know, via the math, and like the 3050 should be around 30 mega hash a second, for example. 3080 Ti should be around 115 mega hash, for example. So they could have fixed this a little bit better. It would technically be cards ranging from the RTX 3050 to the RTX 3080 Ti, as the RTX 3090 has never been locked. So just a note there. Besides the obvious immediate implications of higher profit rates for already deployed mining systems, it's unclear how this move would affect the graphics card market. Considering how Ethereum's move to proof of stake, referred to as the merge, is expected to conclude in the first half of this year. Anyone investing in extra cryptocurrency mining hardware, read Nvidia graphics card, would have a limited time to make their investment back and actually turn a profit. This rings particularly true considering the cryptocurrencies market's overall downtrend since the start of the year, until we had an uptrend today and back over 40K and finally broke that 39K barrier, which is pretty funny to read this because they wrote this 3 hours ago. Come on. We had already seen it re-break that 40K. Come on. Keep up to date, Tom's Hardware. That could deter many miners from actually doing another run at graphics cards, even as the market slowly returns to normal after more than 2 years of terrible supply and pricing scenarios. It is, however, interesting that the group is asking Nvidia to remove the light hash rate limiter by themselves in exchange for a hardware folder, or an HW folder, of stolen data not being leaked and distributed. Why the group would ask Nvidia to lift the mining limiter by themselves when the group claims to be selling an unlocker of sorts for most of Nvidia's RTX 3000 series lineup is unclear, and could cast some doubts on the legitimacy of the claims. Lapsus seems to be doing what it can to pressure Nvidia to the negotiating table, while seemingly playing to the approval of the cryptocurrency mining community. The group claims to have stolen 1 terabyte of sensitive data and information, including product schematics, driver and firmware data, documentation, private tools, and software development kits, as well as everything about Falcon. Falcon is a special class of microcontroller that ships inside all Nvidia GPUs and takes on a variety of roles ranging from video decoding to memory copying to security. Depending on the sensitivity of the stolen data, Falcon could thus be rendered an ineffective defense. The group claims that it still hasn't been contacted by Nvidia and have in the meantime distributed part of the stolen data. Sources who have accessed said data have said that it matches the group's claims. There's at least the suspicion that the group's claims are true and that they have and that they have indeed obtained valuable data within the 1 terabyte claimed to have been stolen. Nvidia's continued silence on the matter, saying only it's investigating an incident, isn't the usual corporation response in such cases. Even less so is the reported or purported reverse hack Nvidia reportedly conducted on Lapsus, where they attempted to ransomware their data back from the group. And dude, if that's true, there's no way a company should ever retaliate with their own ransomware attack. That is crazy. This has been confirmed by Lapsus, but the group claims to already have copied and backed up the data before the attempted intrusion, rendering Nvidia's efforts fruitless. This cloak and dagger back and forth dance between a mega corporation such as Nvidia and a hacking group isn't par for the course. Perhaps Nvidia really is taking a long time to assess how exactly this could impact its business. That in turn likely means the impact wouldn't be negligible. So, weird responses from Nvidia. I used to work basically in kind of this sector where ransomware did happen. Your standard go-to, of course, in those cases was making sure all the data that needed to be secured, anything that had, financial information on it or customer information on it, private data, making sure that that was secured in some manner, and then always having a backup. So if you had some sort of ransomware that got onto the system, you would have a incremental backup to roll back to once you found out where, of course, the security vulnerability is. So when they're talking about Nvidia just executing a ransomware attack back onto the hackers, it's kind of silly. I mean, it seems like a bad move. That being said, so does the RTX 4000 series Ada Lovelace, where we see above 450 watts on the power consumption for these GPUs. It appears NVIDIA is struggling in more ways than one. Now, we do need to clarify a couple things with the Tom's Hardware article. One was, of course, the misrepresentation of the RTX 3090 being a light hash rate GPU. It has never been, and I don't think ever will be, locked with light hash rate. Hence that's why a lot of the GPU miners started purchasing them, because it made sense to a lot of people to just go ahead and purchase for a while there, while they were a little cheaper, like around that $2,000 mark, to purchase the 3090s. And then another thing about this is talking about the merge, Ethereum moving proof of stake. What this would unlock essentially would be, of course, the light hash rate for ETH hash. So this could apply to other coins as well outside of Ethereum post-merge, right? So we're talking about Ethereum Classic, etc. But in addition to that, like we've seen, the proof of stake move from Ethereum seems to be up in the air, right? Some say June, some say July, some say August. Who knows? And that's the quote from Vitalik Buterin that we've talked about here on this channel. So at this point, to say that for sure it's going to happen within the first half of the year is pretty unlikely, especially since he gave himself that leeway all the way to August. That would be the second half of the year. And as far as the mining unlocker itself, if we're talking across like a huge farm like I just saw where there were a lot of 3080 Ti's online, that would potentially increase the short-term profits pretty significantly for a lot of these farms that do have light hash rate GPUs already deployed. And that's going to be a big deal. Now, why would they specifically want to force NVIDIA to release or launch the light hash rate unlock themselves? I don't know exactly. I think that from that perspective, it's commendable to try to make NVIDIA do it, because what we're talking about is bypassing the whole worry of the hackers injecting malware into their release of it, I suppose. And that would make, essentially the miners feel safer in downloading whatever driver or software to unlock it would be. But at the same time, I don't know if this is just if they are miners themselves or if they're trying to get some sort of support from the cryptocurrency community. I'd like to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below. Now, we have seen some crazy stuff in the world over the past few weeks, of course, and not least of which was the protests within Canada. And what was exposed there was the difference between centralization for fundraising and decentralization for fundraising. And the centralized version of that, of course, being GoFundMe, where essentially what you saw was, well, GoFundMe deciding to hop into the political game and picking a side and blocking, of course, the truckers, the protests within Canada, the protesters there, specifically from fundraising for their goals. And what followed that essentially was the use of cryptocurrencies for fundraising. And then, of course, we had all the talks in Canada. We had the talks in Russia that we talked about late last week, and so on, about blocking, using cryptocurrency with basically not allowing anybody to control their keys. That's the way it goes. We released the clip yesterday. I thought it was timely to catch you guys up to date on that particular topic, because what the governments want to do, at least in the case of China, in the case of Russia, etc., is shut down your access to your own keys. If you are allowed to purchase cryptocurrency, you would buy it through a centralized entity, whether that be the banking system of any particular country or the government of any particular country. And this really brings into question, of course, your financial autonomy as an individual. And that is being pursued further, of course, by China, because here's the deal: money is power. And if you have a decentralized platform, which is really, it's coming to light that the decentralized fundraising is the key to cryptocurrency, is the thing that is making cryptocurrency great and function. We see it even with Ukraine, which we've talked about a little bit on Twitter, and the ability for them to fundraise on a decentralized or in a decentralized manner. And that is the importance, because with that ability and that financial autonomy, it gives the people a voice regardless of what the centralized entities want you to say. And then if there's enough people, it doesn't matter basically if they try to shut you down, because they can't with the decentralization. And we're going to see this battle play out more and more. And where we see it play out next, of course, is here with China's Supreme Court declaring crypto fundraising illegal. Now, this one's coming from the Bitcoinist, and this was posted 2 days ago. I've been saving it for a couple days just for this show. All right, let's get into it. China's Supreme Court adds fuel to the fire after Russian military attacks on Ukraine slipped the crypto market cap to 1.5 trillion. The court declares crypto fundraising illegal and determines jail time and fines for suspected persons. To be clear, the new bill announced on Thursday is an amendment to previous legislative documents regarding cryptocurrency transactions, and it will come into force by the 1st of March. That's going to be tomorrow, boys. In this ruling, one of the amendments in section number 8 of Article 2 identifies illegal fundraising by way of online lending, investment shares, and virtual currency transactions. China's apex court has decided to ramp up its efforts to get rid of cryptocurrencies. Similarly, law changing paves the way for authorities to file a case and charge fines to offenders. According to the court ruling, suspected of illegal fundraising will face prosecution per the country's criminal law, Article 176. That means individuals involved in illegally handling public funds will face 3 to 10 years of jail time, and penalties will be between 50,000 won and 500,000 won. That's between $7,900 US and $79,000 US. Persons involved in operating smaller amounts will face up to 3 years in prison, while the fines implied on them range between 20,000 yuan and 200,000 yuan, which is the 3,165 to 31,658. China's regulators' tussle with cryptocurrency continues. China's crackdown on crypto is not new. China has already banned crypto trading and mining since 2017, and recent amendments give powers to law firms to officially sentence criminals. In September 2021, the People's Bank of China and other significant agencies also said cryptocurrency transactions were illegal fundraising, while the latest ruling has made it a crime and issued penalties and jail time for those charged for illegally raising funds. Similarly, China's State Council ordered securities to start a crackdown on crypto trading and mining in May 2021. As a result, it led many crypto companies and mining firms to migrate. At the same time, the Bitcoin value slipped under 30K as a part of the market was severely affected. NFT fever. Besides the strict policies of regulators that have been long attempting to ban crypto altogether, the NFT hype in China is not negligible. Many tech firms from China have been entering the NFT space for some time now, and the interest rate has risen since the giant companies such as Tencent have joined the market. Moreover, the China-backed blockchain service BSN recently announced its plans to build a platform that typically supports NFTs. The upcoming platform aims to set a place for coders with the provision of programming interfaces to build NFTs regarding apps and manage users or users portals. Notably, the project will have nothing to do with cryptocurrencies, unlike the trading market using digital assets. The BSN's new platform will only allow the Chinese yuan to pay for services and purchases. Of course, they will eventually want to tie that into the central bank digital currency of China. And I have tweeted this out, and I'll say it here publicly on the channel so everybody is aware. I support cryptocurrency. I do not support central bank digital currencies. And the reasoning for this is the difference between centralization and decentralization. And if you think that that doesn't matter, then I don't know what to tell you, but because it's pretty clear here, it matters. What we see happening in the world today with the blocking of fundraising based on your ideological beliefs is a problem, in my humble opinion. And if you have a decentralized way to raise funds for your cause that maybe a government or some corporate entity or bank doesn't agree with, then they want to shut you down and get rid of whatever technology that is. In this case, it's cryptocurrency. So not only is cryptocurrency proving to have a use case in, of course, the world that does mean something outside of NFTs like we've talked about before, but it also is proving, of course, to be a pretty large weapon in the hands of the people when we're talking about the manipulation of currency, especially, and economies that large governments, etc., are manipulating to keep control of their people. Otherwise, why would this be a thing? In an interesting turn of events, Bank of America sees no crypto winter given user adoption and developer activity growth. This is coming from CoinDesk. Still, crypto market upside will be likely limited for the next 6 months by Fed tightening and macro headwinds. An analysis of cryptocurrency flows between personal and exchange-based wallets shows a lack of directional conviction in the market. Bank of America said in a note entitled "Digital Assets in the Flow." Tightening by the U.S. Federal Reserve and macroeconomic headwinds are likely to limit upside for cryptocurrencies over the next 6 months. This won't, however, be a crypto winter, given the level of user adoption and growth in development activity, analysts led by Alkesh Shah wrote in a note Friday. Bitcoin exchange outflows suggest that buying on dips is muted, while exchange inflows for Ether show the potential for continued price headwinds, the bank said. The top 3 stable coins saw exchange inflows slow significantly for the second week in a row, the report said. Last week's exchange inflows reached $517,000, down 99% from the previous week, indicating that investors may be biding their time in the current macroeconomic environment, the bank's analyst said. It would be difficult for the crypto market to break out of the recent trading range until concerns about a potential recession are discounted, according to the bank. So lots of factors here that could basically affect the cryptocurrency market wildly, right? Way up, way down. But what they're saying is that winter time that we typically see within the Bitcoin super cycle of the 2 years on, right after kind of the halving, and you get that real big pump, and then it comes back down, and it's basically in the winter for a while until Bitcoin halves again, then it pumps back again. They're saying that's not going to happen. Now, obviously on this channel, we've talked about it, and we talked about what the possibility would be if we did hit that winter. And then of course, we've talked about how it does feel like we've broken out of that to a certain extent. Maybe we do sit here for the next 6 months, right around this $30,000 to $40,000 range for Bitcoin. And we just sit here until essentially we get all of the regulations figured out in the United States, and then it goes from there. In an ideal world, you aren't waiting on a government to regulate for cryptocurrency, of course, and you don't have as much institutional investing as you do have investing from the individual. But keep in mind, from the perspective of Bitcoin, we still have the Trojan horse theory, in which the more institutions buy, if you already invested as an individual user, that drives up the price. It is the only kind of currency or asset class or whatever you want to call it that functions like this. Typically large institutional investors have the backing of banks and the federal government for printing money, and that always decreases the value of the lower class through middle class population of the country. Whereas with Bitcoin, if institutional investors want to participate within it and the people already have access to it, it only drives up the value of the lower to middle class asset. So this is kind of why it functions this way and the thought process behind it. It was created after the 2008 crash. It's meant for these types of use cases. It's really getting interesting now. I feel like it's a very exciting time because we see what cryptocurrency can do for the world. We're starting to see it. We're starting to see the practical use cases for it, and it's doing a lot of good. And it's very exciting in my personal opinion. So wanted to bring that up. It's also good, of course, that Bank of America is kind of acknowledging it. If Bank of America is acknowledging that, I think that, they may be right. I don't think that we necessarily hit a winter again. There is still the question, though, of what happens after a halving if we don't have that typical winter. Does the price skyrocket again, or does it remain steady because we haven't been in a winter, right? Or the bear market. It's just kind of interesting. So, as you guys know, I moved over to Crazy Pool last week due to just basically my own personal principles surrounding cryptocurrency and, of course, what was going on with Flexpool. Right now, I'm on Crazy Pool. The hard part about Crazy Pool, it's really hard their dashboard's fine. It works just fine, but it's hard to give you guys exact daily. But as you can see here, we are essentially getting about payouts. There we go. So we are getting about 0.1 ETH a day on 5.5 mega hash a second. It's a little bit less than that. As you can see here, we had 8:15 was the payout on the 26th, and then 2:39 p.m. was the payout on the 27th. So a little bit sparsed out, but it does look like, overall, I have seen an increase in profitability since moving over to Crazy Pool. but there's a lot of factors here that you need to take into account. Doesn't mean the crazy pool is more profitable at all than Flex Pool or Ethermine or whatever. You would really have to have two miners with the exact same connection to both pools, which is actually impossible to do, and remain up for probably over a week and complete, keep the exact same hash rate with the exact same connection, the exact same everything before you could really ever say Pool A is better than Pool B. Your go-to is going to be checking ping and then checking out miningpoolprofits.com. But we've been doing okay as far as profitability on Ethereum. I'm pretty happy with it. And then what does that come out to? We'll do that real quick for you guys. Google ETH to USD. I don't know why here we go. So 262 a day about on Crazy Pool with 5.5 gigahash. And then on the Ant Miner, or not the Ant Miner, the Coin Miner, C16 Pro, it's sitting at about 95 terahash a second and still doing that 0.0004 Bitcoin a day. It seems to always get exactly this. Review for it coming out for the channel, I've been pretty impressed with it, except for that little snafu. Oh, over 41,000 now, which is putting this miner up to $17.45 a day right now. Okie doke. So that's that. Let's take a look at what to mine for the 3090. Let's correct out the Zel hash. As long as you use mini-Z, that'll be 110 solutions a second. Ethereum is in first at $3.64 a day. I'm really hoping we get over that $4 a day mark. We have Ycash coming kind of out of nowhere at $2.65 a day. The Zel hash at $2.91 a day on Nice Hash Rental is making more than directly mining Flux at this point. If you directly mine Flux, it's still at $2.56 a day. And then, of course, if you're renting that Zel hash through Nice Hash, you're making a little bit more. So that's something to keep into account. Conflux is up here, 222 a day. Cero is up here at 209 a day. Ethereum Classic at 208 a day. Pretty nice to see Ethereum Classic over 50% of the profitability that you would get on Ethereum. Of course, we're going to need that for the Polaris GPUs. And then we have Ravencoin down here at $1.75 a day. We have the Quark Chain, Conceal, Ryo at $1.88 a day, Cortex at $1.81 a day. Let's go ahead and look at the 2080 Ti, see how Flux is performing today. On it, the most profitable is going to be for the 2080 Ti Zel hash at $1.94 a day through Nice Hash. If you mine directly for Flux, it will become a couple cents a day less profitable than Ethereum, where Ethereum on the 2080 Ti after power of 10 cents a kilowatt hour is at $1.71. Let's go ahead and look at the Polaris GPUs, the RX 580 here. Ethereum at 87 cents a day. It'd be really nice to see it get back above $1 a day, but here's the hoping. Ethereum Classic is going to be second most profitable at 45 cents a day after power. And then you do have Quark Chain at 43 cents a day after power. Finally followed by Firo at 39 cents a day after power. And Ravencoin at 31 cents a day after power. Let's go ahead and see if we see any crazy changes in hash rate. And lo and behold, we actually do have about 4 exahash dropping off of Bitcoin here, it looks like. Just today. So this is happening today. I'm not exactly sure why. I'll do some research and try to figure it out. Where is it coming off of? Lithuania lost some. Yeah, and what else lost some? There has to be more than that. Mara Pool. Sometimes it's hard to see with these little charts, right? Let's go ahead and look at Ethereum and see if anything's fallen off there. We expect 1 petahash on the network, and 1 petahash is still on the network. So no changes for Ethereum as far as difficulty goes. So no increase either. So we know that those hackers haven't released that light hash rate unlock to anybody in particular that has any large mining farms at this point. Let's take a look at Flux. I assume we're going to see solo pools spiking. Yep, as you can see here, we're having a huge spike right now on minerpool.org for the solo pools. We're still seeing some solo pool spikes on 2miners.com. And this is more than likely, like you guys have said in chat and like we talked about last week, just everybody prepping for the cheaper price of nodes that's coming out. And there's high expectations surrounding Flux right now. Let's take a look at Ravencoin. And Ravencoin is down about, what, 0.2 terahash? So obviously it looks like it couldn't even sustain the 4 terahash. It's still struggling to maintain that. Hash rate has dropped off. We'll kind of have to keep an eye on it and see when Ravencoin really settles in. Its profitability is suffering. Of course, like I've talked about before as well, the algo is pretty hard on the GPUs, which is why I don't really like using it that much. Typically, you know, like Ethereum, Ergo, those types of things, algo-wise, right, are going to keep your cards a little bit better off than, say, like Flux or Ravencoin. Ergo, if we take a look at it, it's at 14.23 terahash a second. Let's go ahead and look at mining pool profits for Ethereum for the last 90 days. Excuse me. Mining pool hub in first, flex pool in second, crazy pool in third. For the last 60 days, crazy pool in first, flex pool in second, mining pool hub in third. For the last 30 days, flex pool in first, mining pool hub in second, ether mine in third. For the last 21 days, mining pool hub in first, flex pool in second, ether mine in third. For the last 14 days, mining pool hub in first, flex pool in second, ether mine in third. For the last 7 days, mining pool hub in first, ether mine in second, flex pool in third. For the last 3 days, crazy pool in first, flex pool in second, and ether mine in third. And for the last day, flex pool in first, 2 miners in second, and crux pool in third. Seeing crux pool kind of come out of nowhere for the last day. They must have hit a nice big block. A nice big block. Taking a look at ASICs, we have basically a coming soon announcement taking the #1 spot for the E9, the Antminer E9. So maybe we need to take a look at what this is. Let's go ahead and Google it. This is going to be a dangerous one to Google, huh? E9. Let's try to go to the official Antminer website, Bitmain website. I always forget how hard it is to go to the Bitmain website. Nope, that's bitmain.co. Dang it. Let's go here. Did they announce one? So I'm not seeing an announcement from Bitmain on an Antminer E9 at this time. I think that they may have preemptively kind of added that to MinerStat. We've talked about the Pro Hybrid. Yeah, I don't see any evidence of the E9 on the Bitmain official website, so I don't really believe this at all right now at this time. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't believe it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. It does say 3,000 mega hash a second at 2,556 watts. Gold Shell KD6 still taking king of the hill, $115 a day. KD5 kind of coming in second if we don't look at ET hash at 78.17 a day. Antminer L7 really struggling at 27.58 a day if you're merge mining or basically renting it out for someone else to merge mine. We have the Silicon A10 Pro, so that's ET hash. The KD2 at 25.86 a day. IB Link, all that. Let's go ahead and get down here. It does look like Handshake's kind of becoming more profitable, which is interesting. It's 16.72 a day, 16.53 a day mining Handshake directly. I am mining it with the Gold Shell HS box, but I don't have an HS3. So HS box doesn't really make a ton, but I have been mining it. There's a review on the channel if you want to check it out. The Z15 really coming back. It does look like Zcash has kind of made a resurgence here recently. And I think a part of that has to do with the resurgence of the obvious benefits to the principles of cryptocurrency and privacy and security. So privacy coins, really, just to give you guys an idea, I think they're going to become more relevant than maybe a lot of people expect, especially in the market as it currently sits, where everybody's obsessed with, you know, NFTs, Ethereum, Solana, blah, blah, blah. As we start talking more on the geopolitical stage, that sort of stuff, what's going on with China and shutting off, you know, the ability to fundraise, privacy coins are going to be a thing. Finding good privacy coins to keep up to date and are ahead of attackers is going to be even more important, right? Antminers S19 Pros, 1615 USD. There you go. On Digibyte. It doesn't show Bitcoin, but let's go ahead and take a look here. Nope, that did the wrong thing. Let's click the S19 Pro. Ooh, what to do with a Bitcoin? $20 a day right now, thanks to the increase in price of Bitcoin. Let's look at BT miners, see if anything good is going on with sales. Not necessarily today. KD miner, 850, blah, blah, blah. All right, cool. All right, let's go ahead and get into questions and answers for the day. I have about 10 minutes here. Tell me how you do that trick. Name that song and band while we're at it. Let me get into it. So, I want to say, super chats never required, always appreciated, easiest to read, so they get read first. Use @SoundOfATech if you have a question, and we'll go from there. Jay Vargas says, hold on. I've been having, not allergies, but like drainage. I guess that is allergies. Jay Vargas says, ask SoundOfATech, is it still good to get into crypto mining? If so, what crypto would you recommend? I don't ever do any financial advice as far as like, should you get into crypto mining? I think everybody should play around with it. If you're going to do it, just buy a single GPU or use a GPU that you already have in a gaming rig, etc. Start playing with it and figure it out and see if it's something you want to do. It is a lot more labor intensive than people assume it is. So everybody that thinks that, the most common is, I find a lot of people that are failing are people that think it's just plug it in and you make money. And if that is your attitude, then stay away from crypto mining, because it's false narrative perpetuated by gamers that are bitter. So it does take a lot of work, and you should be familiar with how it works. And I would always encourage everybody to try to mine something with the PC they currently have, even if it's something like Monero with, like, you know, whatever Intel CPU you have in your system. Nikon FYA says, as son of a tech, just follow up from last week's question. I was the guy who was asking whether to pick up an MSI 3090 for 1800 or the Strix 3090 for 2000. Yeah, so I was going to visit the farm. We just did the video. Right now, what I'm seeing, and I'm going to talk to them about, I think I'll have to facilitate the group buy by myself. So, basically I got to get like a lot of money together. And then I'm going to have to set up my own storefront if we go that route. So at this point, yeah, unfortunately it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And so my understanding is, you know, A2000s for like 600 a pop and a 4000s for 1100, but I have to buy hundreds of them. So we'll see. State Crypto Mining says, Tech, does what to mine include parallel assets for Flux? Yes, it does. Georgie says, Tech, what type of hardware would you prioritize when building a server? RAM, CPU quantity. You know, like I get everything through ServerMonkey, or I have leftover whatever's from, you know, my previous job. So as far as priority is always going to be dependent on what you're doing with it. And so whenever you're speccing out servers for a company, you're always trying to figure out what applications do they run, right? And then once you understand what applications they run, then you understand the system requirements for those applications. So what you're asking me is like the same as like asking me like, what kind of PC should I build? Well, what do you want to do with your PC? You know what I mean? What do you want to do with a server? Do you need lots of RAM? Are there RAM intensive applications that you're going to be running or not, right? And then from there you can decide on whether you need more cores or, you know, more RAM, etc. But a blanket statement of which is best is kind of like, I don't know, because I don't know what you're doing. And then if you told me what you're doing, I would do research on it and then figure it out, right? Google whatever it is, see what the requirements are, see what it leans heavier on, right? All right, Georgie says, ask Tech, what type of server hardware for a mining pool? Okay, that would make more sense. So for that, all you really need to do is look up like the node requirements for whatever. If you're doing a mining pool for Ethereum, you would just basically look up like Ethereum node guide. And then it should say, well, they don't give you specifications here. So you're going to want to be able to run the node. Typically what I find is memory is the big one. So whenever we were having issues, upgrading the memory was what we had to do. But you can get like old 720 XTs from ServerMonkey. The front end you're going to want to run through like VPS, whether that be DigitalOcean or whatever, Amazon, AWS. And then you would just run, if you wanted to build mining hardware, you got to keep in mind, like if you're wanting to go and build a mining pool, it's not ridiculous to tell you that if you want to run your own infrastructure, you're going to need to spend $40,000 to $100,000 on infrastructure. You're going to need UPS battery backups. Whatever server you decide to get, you're going to need to get 2 of them. You're going to need networking cards to have basically communication between the two and have good failover. To get all of the failover licensing, yes, you could use Hyper-V, because that should be free still, which is what we went with. But if you want licensing for the failover and everything to be proper in VMware, you're going to spend a ton of money on licensing, not to mention the drives that you're going to need to run to make sure it's snappy. You're going to want to have some sort of SSD cache as well set into there. Like, if you just want to go build a pool for fun, just get a VPS and learn how to do it. ERT Ted says, at Son of a Tech, what are your thoughts on Ukraine offering Russian soldiers BTC to surrender? I didn't hear about that. That's kind of hilarious. Detroit Irish says, at Son of a Tech, can we all just install Ubuntu on a test bench PC to run Firo and Flux nodes? Yeah, potentially. What I'm going to be showing you guys is I did get a Slim. So I went out yesterday. So my server hardware, I'm getting set up at the farm, right? But it's not set up right now either. It's been down since we moved away back in June. So I haven't had any of my servers, all of my, like, I used to basically run them out of the house. So that's where I kept all of my archived data for the YouTube channel. I had a little 8 terabyte drive in this rig, but it is full now and it's back there somewhere in one of those drawers. So I went ahead and yesterday ordered the DS620 Slim, which is going to be the Synology. That'll be coming in tomorrow or the next day. I think it comes in on the 2nd. I'm going to be covering like setting up the Synology for you guys. I think Synology is for a lot of people that are like interested in having like some sort of network attached storage that offers other things that you can do, including like standing up a small VM, etc. It's going to be beneficial. So I thought everybody would be really interested in that. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about it on the channel. My particular one in this case is just going to have, it's a 6-bay, so it'll have 2 SSDs in there for cache, and then it'll have 4 2.5-inch drives for the data. And then that's kind of where I'm going to be at. And then I did get 16 gigabytes of memory, so I'm going to upgrade it from the 2 gigabytes to the 16 gigabytes. We'll be covering all that kind of just for fun, but you can, you know, depending on the nodes, you can just spin those nodes up on, you know, a Raspberry Pi or an old PC. And as long as you're not like trying to maintain a bunch of connections to it like you would with like a mining pool, you should be fine. Nicholas Kane says, that Son of a Tech, do you have a preferred pool payout threshold and why? Or do you just get payouts from the pool when you need to liquidate for electricity costs? I try to get payouts from the pool because I never trust pools. As somebody that ran a pool, I also know that things can break on the pool. So preferably, I'd like to get the most frequent payouts ever is the best. The other thing about that too is when you're tracking taxes, because you pay the income tax, and this isn't financial advice, talk to your CPA, but you pay income tax on the exact moment it's mined. So in theory, if you're getting paid out more frequently, you can track that using software like Bitcoin.tax. If you are getting paid out more frequently, you can basically get that income tax at a lower rate, right? Like if I didn't have the payout yesterday and my payout saved up until today, it would be kind of crappy because the price went up today. I wanted that payout yesterday. You see, you feel me? CPP Tech, thanks for the $4.99, says, have you seen all the gigabytes water force block failures destroying people's loops? Severely corrosive. No, I haven't seen that. You know, I never trusted the gigabyte water stuff, so I never utilized it. Sorry to hear that for the people that got into it. When I do custom loops, I'm pretty picky. You know, Borrow's the cheapest I'll go with on basically components for fittings. And water blocks, you know, I use the heat killers. I believe this is a heat killer back here. No, that's an EK because the heat killer wasn't launched yet for that CPU. But EK is kind of even, I feel like, cheap. I would prefer having heat killer. EK, you got to be careful on which one you buy. Also, you need to take into account that you tell me corrosive. The question to me would be, did they mix match and get the wrong radiator, right? Are they running copper with aluminum? Did they mess it up? Because that happens a lot, especially with users on Reddit. This is one of the things that gets crazy to me. It's like the guys that get really mad about like a payout not happening on a mining pool, and then they try to say the mining pool is stealing from them, but they have no evidence and they are really the ones messing up. It's the same thing that like can happen on Reddit with like water cooling components, where some dude has a copper block and an aluminum radiator and he runs it and he says, oh, this is a block, when in reality he just didn't pay attention to what he was doing. So I would basically ask that. Stiggy Knock 50 says, is it possible to get a timeout? Don't ban me, but a timeout. I don't know. Sure. I think that worked. I don't know. Thanks for the 50 knock. John Lemon says, at Son of Attack, you like the RTX A4000. Been waiting for your video for a while. Didn't get a chance to watch yet. I haven't made the video yet. The videos will be out. We did, for the members only, we did our member only stream yesterday, which was no audio, just the video of the test bench. And basically that's it. So I think I will be doing live streaming of the testing more frequently, for members only. And the reason I do members only is because I don't want to talk. I don't want it to be a produced thing. It's literally just the screen of the test bench, and then I'm chatting like in the text chat here and there. But I don't think at this point that I want to go like super hardcore on that, because it's, you know, hours. I think we were live for a few hours, 6 hours or so, just testing. 4 hours. I mean, I don't know. I worked a lot yesterday though. Let's see. CPC Tech says, Gigabyte said it was copper blocking. You've seen some super savvy folks, you know, personally have the issue. Yeah, I would just ask if they had aluminum radiators. Lot of people that don't even know what's going on with their radiators, and it's very common for them to throw aluminum radiators in there, and then the metals react bad with the copper, and then boom, where's the problem in that case? It's typically within whatever the component is that's copper. Let's see. I got to get going, guys. I'm going to go do the half birthday for my daughter. If you guys aren't aware, apparently they stopped doing birthdays in middle school, which is cool. So if the kid typically has a fall birthday, they do a half birthday, I guess, the last year of elementary. So I'm going to go up there for lunch. I'm going to do that. Thanks everybody for watching. Be sure to hit the like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell down below, and then we'll go from there. I'll see you guys next Tuesday.